Hello and welcome to the Black Witch Chronicles. This is
Hello, hello. Greetings, everyone.
your Black Witch Chronicles today is with Dr. G Love, yours truly. Lakeesha Harris, go ahead, give yourself a shout.
Hi, y'all. Good to be here tonight. I'm a little tired, but I'm here. I'm present.
All right. Zoe Flowers, shout.
Hi, everyone. Hi. Glad to be here as well. So what are we talking about tonight?
Tonight is about community accountability. You know, I can't think about much else besides community accountability right now because in order for us to talk much deeper about any of these topics and really talk about creating, whole communities of healers and all of us working in the healing professions and encouraging other people to do so and to call in your ancestors, call in your spirits, merge all of your nature spirits so that you're no longer living in this paradigm of having, that we were all robbed from our indigenous nature so much that we feel like we're doing something special. In order for us to really go deep in there, we need to understand that the community has to work as a village, because this kind of Aboriginal indigenous healing practice is community oriented. It's community centered. It's about communal work. For me to continue, for instance, in my work in a bubble, is for me to start having cognitive issues, physical issues, pain in my joints, or anything could go wrong, or just misfires in my life, because I'm trying to work as a global entity by myself. And that's that sort of thing the United States has laid on us. So, I'm not doing that. I'm a community-oriented person, but not even enough. I want more. And part of it is, as a community of witches, healers, light workers, and, evolutionaries, and however we want to identify ourselves, across all identities of gender, across all identities of race, across all identities of perhaps being, related to different star systems. We have all incarnated in the two-legged form on Earth at this time, so there's a certain amount of operating as an Earthling, a global unit, someone living on this ball. So we're all interconnected, all the roots of the trees, all the air, all the water. At quantum physics level, we understand that I'm showing you myself right now as a wave instead of a particle, because that's what I want to do. And also that at the subatomic level, we're all everywhere at once, and the time-space continuum doesn't exist. Okay, just to lay that out quick is to say the community has to be accountable if we want to operate from that place, because that stuff I just mentioned, all those little things I alluded to, that's where this magic comes from. Mm-hmm. It comes from being the global place, from being the universal place. And we can't do it in a bubble. And we have to be truly, and this is what you said, Zoe, it was so amazing about, being in right action. A lot of people want to help, but really they're having that savior thing, or they're trying to go to heaven, or trying to not go to hell. They have a motive for it. So they say, oh, let me help this person, but they actually don't have what it takes to help, or they haven't done their own personal work to be able to do the mountain with the other person. Keisha's getting ready to climb Kilimanjaro. Now that's cool, but you know what, Keisha? I'm not about to offer to join you because my body don't have it in me to go up no side of no big mountain like that. So it would be less fun for you to travel with me, even though in general, we would love to travel together.
Well, we got New York, baby.
Exactly. So we can do New York together, because that's my hometown anyway. I'm a New Yorker, so I'm like, yeah, we do New York. Kilimanjaro, not so much, because I'm not all trained up like you, superhero style. But that's me being accountable. I can't just say, wow, that sounds so cool, I want to join, and then sort of like, not be accountable for the fact that my joints are not up to the gig. My knees are not up to no Kilimanjaro.
Yeah.
You know that.
Oh, go ahead, Zoe.
Go ahead, honey.
Well, also being accountable means finding ways in which you can join me. We're witches in spirit. I carry you with me always, you know? Supporting people in other fashions. Uh, it takes a village to get me up that damn mountain. Um, it has taken a village to support me and Janine raising these 6 beautiful, amazing kids. Um, finding ways in which you can kind of source out yourself. What can you do? What can you add to the pot?
And that makes me think about when you talk about the accountability piece, it's also that stepping away from fear um, when you see certain things, right? So one of the things that struck me when you were like, you're not going to just be like, oh, that looks really cool, what you're doing, Keisha, I want to do it too. That makes me think, and I've been thinking a lot about a lot of the cultural appropriation that goes on, right? So when you look at something like yoga or something that clearly comes from another place, right? And then you have folks from the dominant culture who may go to this, yoga, whatever, this yoga class, or maybe they even have the means to go to the country or whatever, and then all of a sudden they want to take it over, and now you can't even find a yoga studio. You can't even get taught yoga by the people who created it. You got to go to some white person, who has a specific body type, and to get taught something that is ancient. And they're not even giving funds or anything to the places, the countries that are in such poverty, and they're reaping the benefits from it, charging $25, $35 for a yoga class, and people in India are starving. So where is that where is, us as a community, as healers, to say, well, wait a minute, there's something wrong with that. That is an issue. What accountability do we have when we see things like that? When we go into somewhere like Target and they're charging $30 for a yoga mat or a yoga block or the yoga outfit, the yoga pants, everything is commercialized and commodified. So it's like, what is our accountability in that, and speaking up in that, even if there are people that are our friends, to really say, well, wait a minute, what's your accountability to these people in India whose culture you have totally, appropriated? So.
Yes, that is community accountability on a global level, because it's all one village. It's one global village. And I think it's very hard because we have had no reparations yet around this whole entire European takeover. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. It's been different over the years. There have been different dynasties. Sometimes it's one country or one community that takes over, but right now we live in the time where Europe went, the sun will never set on the English crown and all of this. So here we go. There's no reparations, so there's still sort of an energy that the sun has never set. There's sort of an energy that everywhere is a colony. And yeah, politically we're all like, oh, boo, hiss, that's terrible. Well, good for us politically. Meanwhile, back in how we all are living, there's sort of this energy of non-accountability. That's why I feel it's an important conversation, because we are all colonies. India, all this whole area of Asia was so heavily colonized, and their English is so good, for instance. So it was very easy for people to go from the United States and Europe, England in particular, and the United States, and travel over here and sit with the Babas and the gurus. And, being accountable really is being accountable for the whole thing.
Yeah.
Being like, I'm not going to sit here and get angry. I'm not going to sit here and be guilty. Oh, well, I'm not I'm not the people who set this up. It doesn't matter who the people who set it up. Let's be accountable for the situation, the circumstances in which we live in. You can have brown skin and be still involved in the whole imperialist arm of the United States of America.
Totally.
I also want to talk about accountability and supporting us returning, doing our Sankofa work to retrieve knowledge. And I mean monetarily, because they have the means to go over there to get the knowledge, to train. When do we start to be like, hey, somebody wants to go over here and learn yoga, or go sit with the babas, or whatever needs to happen? When do we then say we're going to be accountable monetarily, physically, helping them pack or whatever that needs to happen, um, and get them there?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And we can divest. We do not have to go to these very Eurocentric white places to learn yoga, to learn from these people. We don't have to do that. Oftentimes they have the knowledge, and we have to be in that position to like decide, okay, well, maybe I don't want that portion of the knowledge that they have, and I'm just going to strictly stick with that, with my base.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. However, however, we don't have to go to their places. We don't
Mm-hmm.
have to patronize their businesses. Um, I just want to throw that out there. Being
Definitely.
accountable in those two very real ways.
Yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely. And I really love what you're talking um, about Sankofa, right? And going back and getting and supporting other people's dreams, which is also a part of accountability. If people want to go somewhere, figuring out how we can actually help them get there. If we know somebody is, whoa, here's another thing. If we know somebody is opening a yoga studio, a person of color, or a healing studio, or whatever, to support that person, to spread the word about that person, to let folks know that this good work is happening right here in the community, and you don't have to go outside. Not that I'm saying, there's anything particularly wrong with, I guess, if people feel like they need to go out and do that, but at least be aware of why you're doing what you're doing, number one. And, I think we need to start having these conversations about, I know so many Black healers, and, we shout each other out, but we need to do better. We need to do better about letting people know about the healing work that's being done by people of color.
Absolutely.
Right. That's the only way that we have to form our own networks, and we have them. It just makes me think of Shafia Monroe of ICTC, which is the Black midwifery and doula group. I've worked with and known Shafia for a long time, and they have a list of midwives, and this is of Black midwives and doulas. You know what
Yeah.
I'm saying?
Yeah.
We have to tap into those systems and continue to proliferate our own networking devices as Black witches.
Exactly.
And
Exactly.
work on our trust, right? Because we can go to a dentist or whoever who may be of whatever descent other than a person of color. They can mistreat us, overcharge us, whatever. We will continue to go, and then we will go to one Black person or whatever person of color. They might do something, and then that's it. That's why I don't go to them people anyway. That's why I don't deal with our folks. It's like we really have to talk about too, I think, this trust, like building up this trust in one another, so that we can give those referrals and deal with this, this self-hate.
You said that right. I mean, that's the issue. It's internal and it's external. I mean, at this point, I'm really in my 15th year of practicing. And, I'm moving up in my age as well. And, I have this strong feeling from the ancestors, that they're like, you can't just keep staying the same. You have to keep growing. You have to be more available for people. You have to share this wisdom. It's like I've cultivated this really strong channel for the spirits to speak through me, and that's what I can credit myself for in terms of what do I pat myself on the back for? Showing up. I've been showing up. I've been finding the money to travel out of the country and to apprentice for over a decade with Peruvian shaman, and to do apprenticeship with indigenous African shaman, and to do this and to do that. It's like, yeah, I need to be a little bit more shouted out and a little bit more accessible. People need to have access to me. But it's been like this deep witch hunt all these years that I've been alive. So I want to stay undercover because I'm doing stuff that causes people to freak out. Black, white, yellow, and red. People are like, oh, why are you doing that witchcraft? And they're using it in some kind of way that doesn't make sense to me, witchcraft. And, I'm saying I'm doing shamanic work, but more so than putting the word shaman or witch on it, saying I'm doing indigenous work.
Yes.
I'm doing the work. I am an Aboriginal indigenous member of planet Earth.
Come on.
I am dealing with rocks, shells, water, feathers, birds, animals, reptiles, the many-legged, the winged, the two-legged. That's old-fashioned, and it works for everybody on Earth. It works for everyone. It's mutually beneficial, and there is no cultural appropriation at the end of the day if you keep it elemental.
And what you're talking about is so much bigger than the word witch and the label that people try to put on it. When you were talking, what I saw was just the whole universe. What you're talking about is the whole universe, and being that clear channel that you are for those messages to come through. And we want to be seen, we want to be heard, we want to be acknowledged. So we have to keep those channels open. We must keep those channels open.
And I want to offer, can you all hear me?
Yes.
Okay, I want to also offer that us as healers who do have a certain level of experience and work have to be open to our younger folk, our younger generation, those coming up the line, giving them space. We don't know everything. We can't possibly know everything. So when they have something that they want to say or add to the conversation, we have to be open to new dialogues and new ways of navigating. And I get this, I also get this feeling as, because I'm not an elder, I'm older, but I'm not an elder yet. And when I'm approaching those with a little bit more knowledge than myself, I feel like I get a certain level of being brushed off. They don't want to pass down the knowledge. This is society. Yeah, just like I feel a certain way about that, right? What are you going to do? You're going to take it to your grave? You're going to take the knowledge to the grave? That's not being communal. That's not being accountable. To be elitist is not being somebody of a higher vibration.
And that feels like that's a shielding, that's that fear. That's that fear that they're dealing with, that shielding, that protection, that shell, again, from this white, imperialist, supremacist, capitalist world that we're in right now. If I give her some, I might not have any.
That's the tea, ain't it? If I give her some, I might not have any. When the universe is infinite, right? You're going to get your portion and also share with me.
And we are so fortunate. The universe gives us so much. So it's like, when do you step outside yourself, or who you tell yourself you are, master, healer, shaman, whatever title you put on, whatever outfit you're putting on, when do you sort of shut that down and share that information? We get so many things from the universe, and it asks so little.
But we are on this stuff, though, because we're talking, you know, to our community and to ourselves. But really, community, we're talking to you because we've been peeping, y'all, and ourselves. Peeping. That's what I spend my whole time doing. I'm a peeper. And ain't nobody standing up like I want you to. Come on, man, better. We need that. That's why. It's not a criticism. It's like a praise. The power of our spiral spirited Aboriginal selves is it's so limitless. And the idea is like, oh, we're all like, the witch hunts were rough, man. So I'm not going to lie. I mean, and it's just cooling off just lately. And so there's all this protection. I understand it. But for us to really go in there without guilt and say, yeah, I've been holding out. I haven't been sharing. I've been being greedy. I've been being jealous. I've been being whatever. You know, that's real. Like, we can all just go ahead and see the places where we've done that, because Zoe laid it right on the table. It's just fear-based, and we have a lot of reason to be fearful around our work because there are a lot of haters out here. You know, I mean, there's people, maybe people watching this right now who are watching it just to be hating and laughing. Oh, look at these, you know, people out here calling themselves witches. And we nonetheless have to galvanize. We have to share. This business of not sharing is really rough. And then those of us who are doing the sharing, you know, it's like then we get the punishment of ignominy or no money or this type of thing. And that's annoying too. You know, I just endlessly apprentice people. You know, I just endlessly apprentice people. If someone comes to me, I'm like, let me give it to you. I tell people all the time, I'll give you the whole download. I'll give you everything I have. I'll hand it to somebody free on a street corner and blow that whole entire everything I put all my energy into, travel here, just madness, go crazy, the whole thing up until today. I'll blow that whole thing in there and say, you know what, skip all those steps, because those were just decolonizing steps anyway. What you want is some clarity of medicine and some clarity of frequency that you can begin to work with, and it's all very elemental. Everybody doesn't need to go like into the war to go get something. You know, I certainly have gone into the war to go get something. I had to go into all kind of very, very uncomfortable places, most places of cultural appropriation and so forth, that really made me feel like an exotic other and all this other kind of stuff while I was trying to go and get what was mine. I said, y'all all have everything. Y'all done traveled here. Your passport's all stamped out. I don't even have a passport, you know, back in the day. And I said, let me just go get what you have, because y'all just have access to all the booty. You know, centuries and centuries of booty. So now you just share it, man. I share with people because it's free and it's their birthright. It's your birthright. It's my birthright. It's ours. It is ours. No more of this, well, I went and got it from the Vatican or from the Louvre or from this special thing they had out in Bali where somebody, you know, told me if I gave them $6,000. You share it. It's free.
Now, can you talk a little bit, Dr. G, about the decolonizing of the mind, what that is? I mean, we know, but you talk about it so much, and I love the concept so much. I would love for you to just share, if you don't mind, for people who are unfamiliar with that term, what that means.
The phrase, you know, really, you know, decolonizing the mind, the spirit, the body, the soul, we're decolonizing everything. Because the thing is a lot of people who are into academia or writing papers or just philosophy in general, you know, they get it, but they're not living it. You know, I've been able to get it long before I was able to live it.
Yes.
You know, because there are all these situations that are set up to make you not live it. Like, number one, finances. Like,
yes.
You know, for me saying I'm going to work as an Aboriginal spiral-spirited person, and all those people who maybe Keisha was referring to who are being jealous or withholding looked at me like, well, how are you supposed to pay your rent and bills? And why are you just serving things up like that? You just let anybody come take your class or this and that? And I said, what are you going to do? I'm working with spirit. Then it's like, oh, right, we haven't really decolonized ourselves as a group enough to realize, like, of course, each and every one of us is following our individual guides. So some of the people who are holding things close, maybe they need to be holding things close for a reason. They might need to switch it up soon. But you know, you have to check, why am I doing what I'm doing? Is it because I'm dealing with capitalism? Is it because I'm afraid that if I really trust my spirits, guides, ancestors, and these unbelievable roots, these incredible roots that I have that just traverse webs upon webs, that if I really went there and trusted all these things that I philosophize about and post cute pictures and amazing little poems about on Facebook or wherever, that I would starve to death. People really, at the end of the day, dealing with that root chakra issue. Is if I really do if I decolonize, aka believe, you know, I'm putting myself and my family in jeopardy. That's how they got us right now. They got us in the lower chakras. So long as we're inclined to have a fight or flight, sympathetic, parasympathetic nervous system response, which a lot of us are referring to as trauma responses, around getting free. Every time we try to get free, every alarm in our body goes off that tells us we're going to starve to death and that we're putting ourselves and our families at jeopardy. So then we go into either fight, flight, or freeze. It's well designed. Let me tell you, the colonial mind was powerful. You know, you could beat somebody into submission over a few centuries and psychologically mess with people, and that has been done. And just because we've all done a little bit of reading, and they got people out there who, you know, can do fabulous things, it doesn't mean that we're decolonized. It means that we're at the tip of the iceberg of getting ourselves back how we need to get. And a lot of us are seriously distracted.
You know, two things. One, everything that you're saying, yes, yes, yes. And
yes, yes.
Right? And so one of the things, though, and you and I have talked about this before, is we are distracted. Some of that distraction is earthly, and I believe some of that distraction comes from somewhere else, to keep us unsettled as well. Maybe that's another conversation. But about 2 weeks ago, I had a total shutdown, body shutdown, exhausted, couldn't lift my head off the pillow, and I was just so tired. And one of the things when I was having lunch with one of my sister friends, I said, you know, this lifestyle is exhausting. So yes, there is the decolonizing piece, but I also feel like this lifestyle is exhausting, and I feel like it's what you said before, like we have to work and, you know, do our creative things that we want to do, and then we want to work out, and then we feel like we got to juice, and we feel like we have to always say the right thing, and, you know, always be on top of our game and always trying to do all these things, and it's damn exhausting.
Girl,
You know?
I was laid up right before this video. Exhausted.
Yeah.
Exhausted. Do you hear me?
It's tiring. And so I just took like 2 or 3 days off work on the couch, and I just really had to think about it. And I stayed in a place of questioning. Y'all know I like my questions. And so I was like, what am I learning from this sickness? Because I also got sick for like 5 days. And so I was like, what am I learning about this illness? What am I learning about limitations of the body? What am I learning about feeling like I have to work out? Why do I feel like I have to work out every single day? And if I don't work out, what does that say about me? Again, that decolonization piece, like, you can rest the body. You don't have to have this, you know, small frame and all of that. Like, that's ridiculous. Give yourself a break. Give your body a break. So, yeah.
And I also want to add to that, you can call off work without feeling guilty. You do not have to go to work every damn day, put your heart and soul. And I'm not saying don't love your job or don't love what you do, don't feel passionate about it. But when at the end of the day, when you are tired, when your body needs rest, it is okay. And it doesn't matter if you don't have the paid vacation days or sick leave or whatever. That's just another way of them capturing your body and your mind. You don't have to do that. And really trust in the divine abundance that the universe has to offer you. Know that your bills are going to be paid. Just know that.
Yep.
You know, and the other thing is to swing it back around, work with your healers. You know, everybody needs to be working with their healers. If you're decolonizing and you're doing it in a vacuum, it's not going to work. You got to work with your group. You need to find who are the accountable people in your community. You know, if you can get yourself and go get you a Reiki Attunement or some kind of like doable thing, not something that you necessarily have to travel out all over the place, something realistic. You know, you can call in all your ancestors with that work. You know, and there are people doing that. That's very accessible. Like I'm about to do a Reiki class for an equinox Reiki class after that solar eclipse. And with this portal that's open for really, really seriously bringing us through next level, you know, it's a global forecast that we're about to go through next level on the world reversal, the Pachacuti, the complete world reversal. Yeah. I'm just going to have that ritual. It's going to be a group of us. The Reiki attunements are going to be all about integration. I'm sick and tired of us all pathologizing each other in the community, too. It's like if a person isn't well, it's because they've so heavily colonized and split off. You have to do the spirit work of getting them back to themselves. Mm. If the person's got 3 different parts of themselves and they're not well integrated, and it's like, oh, it's like you never know what mood he's going to be in. Well, yeah, we have to really put all the parts to one. This is a big project, the big project of getting ourselves back together, for it to be okay to for us to even understand that we are a particle and a wave, for us to understand enough about quantum mechanics to get like, oh, I actually kind of already am here, there, and everywhere. Mm-hmm. So I have to think way bigger now with my spirit work, you know, and with my apprenticeship work with other people. I'm trying to apprentice people. I'm trying to jump people into the game now, like super crystal, and that's fine because there's tons of indigo children and crystal children. These young people, the young people got everything to teach. They are on it, yes, everything. And just jump them in whole, like there's nothing wrong with you. No, you don't have no illness. No, forget anything the DSM 4 or 5 told you or any of the little drugs that your family put you on. Like, let's just accept this amazing creature and just see how we can mainline you in to create the new way our society runs. Maybe it'll be a 3-day work week, for instance, if we let a whole bunch of disturbed people take over. You know?
Okay. Okay. For real. My first apprentice, she just started working with me 2 months ago, and when I was sort of starting to come up out of whatever was going on with me, I had an attunement to do last Sunday, and I was able to just sit and let her, you know, be the body for the person, and she, you know, helped to teach, and she's not even 30 yet, yes. And she's just phenomenal. She is off the hook, and she was here yesterday because yesterday we did level 2 with the woman who got level 1 last week, and she's just phenomenal. She puts the lesson plans together, all of that, like prepares the space. Truly a blessing.
Indeed. And that's the way. That's the old school way, and we do not want to throw out any baby with bathwater. Mm-hmm. You know, having this, you're not going to learn from a book. You're not going to learn from when you finally save all your money and you come up with $3,000 to $6,000 and go do something for a 2-week course with someone in another country or a 2-month course. Ideally, if you can find yourself a person like myself or Zoe or Keisha, we're all available, by the way, through the internet, just like this. Plenty of people are practicing with me through the internet. Plenty of people are. You know, get with it. You learn by association. The sound, it kind of almost sometimes doesn't matter what we're saying because there's a frequency we're transmitting teachings with the frequency of our voice. Just hanging around the person, being close to them. You know, it doesn't have to look like a classroom. That's more decolonizing.
That's right.
The learning space in your head.
Right.
That's right. Yeah.
I've
Yeah.
had a couple of
Possibilities are
people.
endless. The possibilities um, of learning and growing and navigating in this life are endless, and we just have to um, kind of re-inspect what our thoughts were when we first started educating, because we've been in a classroom environment all of our lives, from kindergarten up into the ivory tower. Okay, so now we have to recreate what our learning environment looks like, what our healing environments look like.
And how we lay value on those things.
Right.
Because a lot of times, even when people are attracted to it, it's amazing. You still see the value system come up. They're like, I'll see people simultaneously value me and my presence as a teacher in their life. Like I see it, it's the highest. Like they are in high value of me, and simultaneously can't value me financially because there's something kind of embarrassing about this woman of color being so casual and cold chilling, just having you over the house or just doing it this way, just everything all the time being so casual. I'm like, the stuff I bring is so daggone serious. I'm as casual as I possibly can be. And I see people having a hard time valuing the lack of obvious colonial structure. And it's amazing because I don't question whether or not the person values what they're getting. I just see them struggling. So it's another example of how we have to check ourselves and be accountable for the decolonization process, because it shows up in very insidious little ways.
What does that look like? The valuing and that struggle that the folks have at the same time.
It looks a lot like internalized oppression or internalized racism. I think we're a little more used to what that looks like. You know, we love ourselves and we decorate ourselves. And we kind of, but then you see like, oh, I don't value, like you were saying, oh, a person of color. We'd rather you see a black lady with, a free-spirited look. Then maybe, she shouldn't be charging the kind of money that, Wayne Dwyer should be charging, or somebody who looks like that, just like a nice clean-cut character. And then don't let it be me because I'm cussing and carrying on too, not acting right. I can't even make people feel how they want to without me.
Woo!
That's another thing. I refuse to put myself on a pedestal. Now, people have tried over the years to put me on a pedestal. I always do something, to knock myself off it. And, the pop psychologists and the pop metaphysicians would say, oh, that's because you have low self-esteem. I said, no, it's because I don't want to be on a pedestal. I'm not on it. It's because I'm as troubled as the next person. I'm a colonized mess. Don't put me up there, because if I'm up there, then I can't be in the village anymore. And I need the village to help me. Mm-hmm. So it's falling to be part of the masses, for instance, is considered weak in our society. Oh, you're part of the masses. Oh, you've fallen. But for me, I've already been seriously many times offered a nice pedestal, and I always throw myself off of it or knock myself off of it. And I used to think, oh, is that self-sabotage? No, I want to be with the people. I don't want to be alone. I want to be able to knock on your front door and have you answer it and help me. I want to be able to say, SOS, help. I'm a mess. I need help now. And have people quickly, and not people be like, well, Dr. G's got it under control. She's all together like that. Because that's an inclination people have. I said, don't get that idea, because that means you're going to leave me out when I need you most.
Right, and that's accountability. Also knowing that we're a mess as healers, and that's okay, for one, and that we need our collective folk to heal us as much as we are healers.
Yeah, because it's so difficult. Like I was saying, it's so difficult. It can be so exhausting. We can feel so alone, especially as women of color already, right, with all the crap that we deal with already. And we want to take on other people's stuff too. Are you serious? With all this trauma that we already have experienced, now we invite, I do my stuff in my home too. So now I'm inviting you into my house too. So we really need the community support. And we do need to hold ourselves accountable to ask for that help.
Yeah, yeah. And so all you young healers out there, don't find yourself like myself, sitting up here in middle age trying to rewrite the book. Because, I give myself a big headache, but that's the nature of my age, frankly, and of the times that I came up in. You're coming up in times where you can set yourself up right. Don't believe the hype. Don't fall for all of these structures, these pre-made structures that are designed specifically to not allow the divine feminine spiral spirited frequency. Divine feminine really just meaning shamanic or elemental. That's what it means. To not let that frequency exist. These designs are overly linear on purpose. You gotta remember, everything was designed. This is not happenstance. But all of this was, very carefully set up to make sure that we don't rise up. I mean, in the United States, it's really strong set up there because there's a really deep understanding. It's in the frequency. It may not be in people's minds anymore. We all want to laugh at this, but it's the truth. Everybody around here is set up to look out for the Negro uprising. Because they went and brought all these hardcore African spirits over here. And Africans, we're like, well, we used to, the people could fly. African people can do straight up magic. So they brought all these magicians over here. There's been a lot of energy over the past 500 years to just suppress the magic of the Africans and of the indigenous Americans.
What?
Say that.
Okay? The killing of the black body, making us hate ourselves, making us hate our hair. I mean, all of these things are so deep and so real. I was on the train this morning and I saw this, and I know I'm going to make people mad, but whatever, I don't care. I saw this young guy. He had his little, waves going, and then there was a sister in front of me that was just like weave, down to the ground. And I just thought, why would you want that? And I get it. I mean, I was weaved out. It was unbelievable. I get it. But I'm just saying, our hair is so magnificent. It's the only hair. We're like the only creature on the planet, species, human, whatever, that our hair actually grows up to the universe. Like, why would you want to chemically change that? Like, we are so magnificent, and it's like we just don't get it. We just don't get it, and you are so right. I mean, just to suppress our magic, suppress our self-love, our trust in each other, just everything. It's so deep.
Yeah, we got to rise up, everybody. Really, really rise up. Not philosophically, realistically. And if, the person in your life is vexing you, you need to look at why they're vexing you. What is it about the person that vexes you? And we're all going through these traumas together. Don't enable somebody. If somebody's going through PTSD or whatever, some kind of trauma, or some ancestor is dislocated from them and wants to relocate with them, and it's triggering you, you need to figure out how to protect yourself, how to go get help inside the community, or perhaps remove yourself from that person. Don't be standing around talking about, I'm going to stand here and drive you up the wall. You can't drive somebody. You have to really be accountable every single step of the way, because this decolonization process, at any moment, any of us could sort of just feel really out of step with everything around us, because that's the nature of decolonizing. This thing was designed to stop the Negro uprising and, just completely suppress the indigenous. That is a very important foundational elemental truth to this country. Now, I'm not going to get into my feelings about patriotism, because I do identify as an American citizen on many levels. And with that identity comes a deep understanding that one of the founding tenets is the absolute suppression of indigenous magic and the absolute forceful locking up of that imported African magic, and really making sure that that's always checked. And even to this day, it's worked into the systems. People don't even realize that how the system is designed to always check those things. It's an important part how the country has designed itself to keep going. We have to operate at that level of undoing.
And that level of understanding that racism isn't personal, it's about survival for the people that are in power. They could not survive without these things being put in place. And so we have to be just as, lovingly vigilant about our survival as well. And when you were talking about all of that you were talking about, it just made me think of also the suppression of the divine feminine and all of the women we see with all of the root chakra issues, the fibroids, the not able to enjoy sex, all of those things. Is that suppression of that divine feminine, that African magic, all of that.
We really let it ride up in here tonight. That's all I gotta say, ladies. This accountability.
Well, that's the thing. I just had another birth year, and I've decided I can't play with you people no more.
Oh!
I'm like, I gotta come out the closet. I've been keeping a bushel on my light for other people's safety.
Yeah.
And it's over now. It's over.
Yeah.
I literally am about to just present myself for who I really am and encourage other people to do so. I'm really leading by example right about now because I'm over here and I'm doing this thing.
Mm-hmm.
And I got plenty of people on the ride for me. I'm like, let's go, y'all. Come on.
Mm-hmm.
And Zoe said to be lovingly vigilant, and I want to offer, sometimes we don't have to be so damn lovingly vigilant about our survival.
I hear you.
I'm all about that damn sword, okay? You're going to give me my freedom one way or another. I would like to do it nicely, but other than that, I'm going to take it. Just know that.
Look, you know who the Libra witch is. The Libra witch always wants to do things. Let's do it nice. Let's just have a nice revolution.
And the Aries witch is like, cut off that motherfucking head. Cut the damn head off. If we got to go through this motherfucker slicing heads, kicking ass, and taking names for our freedom, that's what the fuck we got to do. That's my last word on that. That's
well, it can all be done, right. And this is the Pisces witch. All of the above can be done, and it can all be done in the unseen realms too. Yes. That's the beauty of it. You can take heads off. There's an indigenous entity that comes out of sort of the northern coastal lands of Peru called the decapitator. And the idea, and I have fucked with him.
You fucking with the decapitator?
I have done so, and I mean, getting your head chopped off doesn't necessarily take your life blood out of your body, because I'm still sitting here talking to you, and no, I'm not a zombie. Yeah. It was a very direct way to deal with my colonial issues. By taking a decapitation as part of my, we'll say, initiatory journey in Peruvian shamanism, it unraveled me quickly, because I had been heavily educated in the common way. So I needed to have my head took off. And so, there's tricks to the trade. There's a lot of things we can do with that machete without even, while we sit around paint our fingernails and have some snacks. Just saying, that's the Pisces witch. I'm like, Pisces is like, well, I know a few things. Then when I see you next, we can get to some. When I see you next, and I bring that machete to the Black Witch Chronicles in April, we might start putting that thing to work.
Next month.
Let's do. I cannot wait. Speaking of which, it's almost April.
It's almost April. A couple more weeks.
More weeks and we will be together in New York, Black Witch Chronicles. All of us together in the same damn room. What mischief can we come up with?
I don't know.
The people gonna have to see that.
That's gonna be good. That's gonna be good. Black Witch Chronicles in Brooklyn.
Mm-hmm.
Brooklyn edition.
And
Brooklyn
I
edition.
also want to send a shout out because there is some amazing stuff going on here in Chicago this month of March. We have the Inside Color of Violence
All right.
conference that is happening, and it is going down. Some amazing, amazing work I'm sure will be coming out of that um, space, and I'm looking forward to being there as a presenter and as a poet.
Okay.
Very excited about that. And also, my first triathlon is coming up on the 22nd. So, y'all Black witches, pray for us, sister, all right?
We will. We are already. What are you going to be presenting on?
Well, the Black Women's Blueprint has invited me to do a piece. I believe that they did one Mother Tongue there in New York, and they're bringing it here to Chicago.
Oh, okay.
So it's Black women responding to very powerful pieces of work um, from our elder poets, June Jordan, Audre Lorde, Nikki Giovanni, and we're also presenting our own original pieces in response to their work about violence and Black womanhood and police violence,
Okay.
specifically to Black womanhood.
Okay.
Okay.
Wow.
So yeah, so I'm excited about that. And then I'll also be on a panel talking about Black women and breastfeeding.
All right. And I just pulled
Yes,
Yemaya.
yes.
Yemaya. And this particular goddess deck is very interesting. They have Yemaya talking about surrender. So that's really interesting given the conversation we had tonight about accountability, and surrendering is a part of accountability. So that's interesting. When is your triathlon?
On March the 22nd, darling. So I'm
Oh,
going in that water, and I was just thinking, like, y'all pray for a sister, ask Yemaya for help. Hello, going in that water.
wow. Um, and I will tell folks about my show that is currently happening in Asheville, North Carolina. It started on March 5th and it ends on March 21st on the equinox, which is interesting. It started on the full moon and it's ending on the equinox. So,
Yeah.
the new moon chart. And what was I gonna say? Oh, and we've had a full house so far since opening night. It's been sold out 3 nights in a row. So I'll be there on the 21st because that's our closing night show. So I'll be there meeting folks and talking to folks about From Ashes to Angel's Dust.
And can you tell us a little bit about that, Zoe? Tell the people.
Yeah, you know what? It's actually based on a book I wrote called Dirty Laundry, Women of Color Speak Up About Dating and Domestic Violence. I wrote it in the early 2000s. I interviewed women of color and documented all of their stories of sexual abuse, domestic violence, incest, and I put it in a book, and then I added sort of pop culture's role in that, supporting violence against women, religion's role in supporting violence against women, and society's role against violence against women. And so then I took myself and my writing partner, she really helped me to take those stories from the book and craft them into a play. So what I did is I created a historical context around those stories, because it's hard to take a book from the sort of the page to the stage. So I looked at women of color and looked at what happened to us since we arrived on these shores, and really created a context around those women's stories. Because my position is domestic violence and all of those things in communities of color are a direct outgrowth of slavery. And so that is my position. And I feel like slavery was the ultimate act of domestic violence, 400 to 500 years of domestic violence acted upon people of color. And so that is my position. And so we talk about those sort of things from the moment we got here, and we take it all the way up until today, but focusing on the healing, right? And so the show asks the question, how do we love ourselves within the context of white supremacists, patriarchy, capitalism, and all of that? But it's also sort of a global story, too, about women and the squashing of the divine feminine, and how do we rise that up? So there's ritual in the play, and we talk about gossip, we talk about cutting, we talk about same-sex rape. So we talk about a lot of things in the piece, but ultimately coming to that place of, but how do we love ourselves? How do we accept ourselves? So it's interesting, you know, she's chosen a multicultural cast, so it'll be interesting to see what that looks like. People are loving it so far. I've been producing it all along, so this is the first time that a theater has actually taken it on, put all their own people on it. So I'm excited to see what it is.
Yay!
And we want to take it all over the world, you know.
Look at the black witches being fertile, honey. We on fertile ground.
Spreading that witchery, spreading the witchery all over the place.
Congratulations, congratulations.
Thank you, love.
Yes. If you can get to New Orleans, Louisiana for the equinox, March 21st, it will really be quite the throwdown ritual. This integration work, this soul retrieval work, you know, it's a Reiki attunement. You'll come out a Reiki practitioner, but you know, when you get your Reiki from G Love, you get this, you get the download. So you know, that's there if you can get there. It'll happen again. You should contact me if you're looking for any of these services that I provide in the future, or in your town. I travel. I definitely travel. I hold all kind of lovely little events and healing events and Reiki attunements and all kind of places. I love the people. I love moving frequency in a different place. So you can contact me at the number 5directionswellness@gmail.com. That's probably the best way. So 5directionswellness@gmail.com is probably the best way to contact me for any of those type of things. Right now I am a spirit woman. I've been in the ocean. I plan to go in the ocean at least 2 more times. I was in the ocean all last week. I'm just really going with nature. I am working to gather funds to get to Peru in September. The spirits have directed me I need to get back there to complete to do the closure on the effects of this decapitation that I got 10 years ago. So this is a little starfish that traveled back with me from the Gulf of Mexico. And really, it's just about really connecting deeper and deeper with the nature spirits and going there. I'm very excited about closing the decapitation work and really calling myself having completed at least one cycle of decolonization in a significant enough way that I can really begin to live, not just believe and strive, but live inside of my spiral spirited nature. Ashe Amena Ho Namaste, Hotep. So it is, so be it, and all the rest. Frequency, 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 starfish, starfish, starfish.
And I think we have our Black Witch Chronicles. We should say goodnight to the people.
Good night, people.
Good night, people.
Good night,
we love you.
We love you. Mwah.
See y'all.